Good evening. Good evening, thank you. Please join me in the flag salute by the ROTC of North Torrance.
Hey. Forward. March. Ready. Forward. March. Mark time. Mark. Color guard. Halt. Present. Colors.
Ready, begin.
Thank you.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Colors. Mark time. March. Forward. March.
Please be seated. So good evening and welcome to the North Torrance Neighborhood Association General Meeting. My name is Marianne Hamada and I'm the president. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us tonight. We have such a great crowd. Tonight I would like to also thank our sponsor tonight, which is Alan Glassman. Alan, thank you very much for your donation as well. I would like to introduce the North Torrance Board. Terry Fury, First Vice President. We can hold the applause until after. So. Glenn Terry, Treasurer, he's in the front. Rita Anderson, Secretary. Bob Habels, our Director of Membership and Council Observer. Mike Lewis, Director of Communications. Kurt Wiederman, Historian and prior City Council Member. And not present is Zora Muhammad, our Auditor, and Dr. Anil, our Director of Social Media. So just a couple of announcements. We are seeking new board members, so if you are interested in joining this great team, please speak to one of our board members. We'd love to talk to you about the roles. Mark your calendars for this Sunday in Columbia Park at 11 o'clock. There will be the Cherry Blossom Festival, so it's in person. Welcome back. And also mark your calendars for another general meeting that we'll be having on April 14th. And that will be the candidate forum for treasurer and mayor. And we'll be partnering with the Old Torrance Neighborhood Association as well. Okay, so tonight we're having the Torrance District 1 candidate forum. I'm going to be the moderator. Mike Lewis will be my timer. My job is just to keep the event running smoothly. I'm not a censor, and I do not decide what is true or not true. So the format is as follows, so that you're aware, the candidates are aware of this as well. We will have no opening statements, 1 minute to answer 13 questions, and a 2-minute closing. The numbers are preset random for our system. The candidates will then be asked a series of questions which have been selected and formulated by the committee of the North Torrance Neighborhood Association Board. No questions will be taken from the audience. Candidates may not refer to another candidate's answer, and the timing is strictly enforced, and I will be abrupt if I need to. In between District 1 and District 3, the mayor is going to share a brief synopsis regarding the ballot measures. So that'll be between the forums as we transition to District 3. Okay, so the questionnaires are Rita Anderson and Kurt Wiedemann. Candidates, please take a seat.
This first question is directed to Mr. Kartsonis. What attracted you to live in North Torrance, and how long have you resided here?
Sure, thank you. My name is David Kartsonis. First, I want to start by thanking the North Torrance Neighborhood Association for putting all this together. I know it's a significant amount of work, so thank you, and thank you all for being here. So, I was raised in the South Bay. My wife and I, when we decided it was time to settle down and start our family, we looked at a lot of places in the area, and we found our lovely little neighborhood here in North Torrance. We live just north of Edison Elementary here. We bought our house 5 years ago, and we love it. And since then, I've gotten more and more involved in the community. I went to El Camino College. I served on the El Camino College Foundation for 10 years. I've served on the Torrance Parks and Recreation Commission and the Torrance Planning Commission, just because I love our neighborhood, and I want to be part of it thriving. Thank you.
This question is for Mr. Kaji. What attracted you to live in North Torrance, and how long have you resided in District 1?
My family has been living in the South Bay for over 100 years. I've lived in 4 different districts in the city of Torrance over 9 years. I've had my business here in North Torrance for the last 31 years. My family's been running different businesses here. Merit Savings Bank, we've been real estate investors for a number of years. I moved here to Torrance about last summer because my office is now only 5 minutes away from my house. And as I get older, I'm now 66, I like to make things easier for me. Thank you.
Mr. Zygielbaum, the same question. What attracted you to live in North Torrance, and how long have you resided here?
Thank you, and thank you all for being here. It's nice to see so many people. Thank you for hosting this forum. We love being in North Torrance. My wife, who's this fetching pregnant lady here in the front row, we moved here about 5 years ago. We bought our house in February 2017. What attracted us is the strength of the community, the schools, the safety of the city. And my kids are 6th generation Californian. You know, my family came over the Oregon Trail. We can trace them all the way back to England on the other side. And then also, on my dad's side, I'm a 2nd generation American. My grandparents were Holocaust survivors. They came here with $10 in their pocket. And so one of the things I really appreciate about North Torrance is the diversity of the community. I love hearing different languages. I love seeing different cultures and interacting with people that have had different experiences than me. I think it makes everything much more interesting and that much better. And I love that my kids are here for that. So I love the neighborhood. We just live right 1 street east of St. Catharines, and look forward to talking to you today.
Mr. Gao, same question. Do you need it repeated?
No, I got it. Thank you. And thank you everyone for being here. I was born in the original Torrance Memorial Hospital. My roots go back to when my grandparents moved here in 1941, and my first job was as a lifeguard at Vanderpool Swim School, the business that they built and ran here. The thing that some of you might remember is my Uncle Sergeant Tom Vanderpool and his Captain Mike Tracy were killed here in the line of duty in 1994. And I lived here, swam on the El Camino College swim team. And when my grandfather died back in 2001, I came back and moved to North Torrance. Thank you.
Okay, second question. Are you a member, and this is for Mr. Gao, are you a member of the North Torrance Neighborhood Association?
Do I need to take the whole minute for that, or? Yes, I've been a member for many years, and only when I forget to follow the little reminder that they put on the nice little newsletter has that maybe lapsed, but for the most part, I think I've been here for many years. Thank you.
And Mr. Zygielbaum, next.
Yes, I am a member of the North Torrance Neighborhood Association. We joined when we moved here in February of 2017, and I've been a member ever since. And I think my membership expires in July, so I got to get back on renewing.
Mr. Kaji.
I am not yet a member of the association, but my wife is holding my wallet. I'm ready to drop money to be a member. Thank you.
And Mr. Kartsonis.
Yes, I am. Yeah, my family and I, as soon as we bought our house and moved in, we, like I said earlier, I like to be as involved in the community as I can be, and this is a way to do it. So we absolutely joined as soon as we moved in.
The next question is for Mr. Zygielbaum. Have you served on any boards, commissions, or panels, and how long have you served? And if not, what contributions have you made to North Torrance or to your community?
Thank you. I'm currently a City of Torrance Airport Commissioner. I started that in February of 2018. My term will expire on June 30th of this year. I've served the entire 4 years with honor. I tried to get involved in the city as soon as I got here. Like I said, we moved in the beginning of 2017. First opportunity I had was 2018. I also am a member of CERT, the Community Emergency Response Team. I also am block captain for my neighborhood watch that we started after our house was broken into with my wife and 2 little girls inside of it. And I also am, excuse me, I'm also a deputy district attorney. I've been doing that for 15 years. I serve on several boards as part of that. I'm on the suspected child abuse and neglect boards that talk for Miller's Hospital. I also volunteer teach at Carr Elementary as part of Project Lead through the DA's office. We teach civics, professional or personal responsibility, and criminal justice. I teach both 5th grade classes at Carr Elementary every Thursday. I did today.
The same question for Mr. Gao. Have you served on any boards, commissions, or panels, and how long have you served? And if not, what contributions have you made to North Torrance and the community?
Well, I'm involved in a number of community groups like the North Torrance Neighborhood Association, the League of Women Voters Torrance area, Friends of the Madrona Marsh, and the Torrance Historical Society, the Torrance Democratic Club. And I am most proud, I think, of my time when I was a commissioner, first on the Cable Television Advisory Board, but then when the, at that time, new Social Services Commission was created, I was the first 3-term chair of the Social Services Commission, and there we created the toiletry drive that's happening currently. You still have time to donate your socks and your toiletries and stuff like that, so make sure you do that. And we sponsored the homeless count, and so I'm most proud of my time on the Social Services Commission. Thank you.
The same question for Mr. Kartsonis. Do you need me to repeat it?
I do not. Thank you. So I started my service to the City of Torrance as a Parks and Recreation Commissioner. So on the Parks and Recreation Commission, I was lucky enough to serve on that during the pandemic as well, and we fought really hard to make sure that our parks stayed open for our residents. A lot of our neighbors closed their parks down. It was very important to me that people were able to get out, get some sun and fresh air. We ensured access to little leagues and pickleball, tennis. We oversaw the senior and low-income home improvement program. We strongly supported the Japanese American Internment Memorial Wall in Columbia. We brought recycled water to our parks, which is cheaper and more environmentally friendly. And I'm really proud that I brought the motion to have the air quality monitor installed in Gunzer Park to make sure we had safe air here in Northeast Torrance. I also currently serve as a City of Torrance Planning Commissioner, where we ensure the orderly development of the city. Torrance is a city of small neighborhoods, and we fought really hard to protect that while ensuring new businesses are welcome in our city.
Mr. Kaji, the same question.
Is it halftime? I'm sorry. I've had the opportunity to serve on a number of boards and commissions, both locally, at the state level, and at the federal level. Just to roll down a few, here locally, I served for 10 plus years on the Torrance South Bay Family YMCA board. Also have been active in supporting the Gardena Valley Japanese Cultural Institute, which is in the district. At the state level, I served as a member of the Governor's Economic Development Commission. Next door in the city of Carson, I served on the it was the unwinding of the Carson Redevelopment Agency. In Washington, D.C., I served on the Presidential Commission, the President's Export Council. In between, also with nonprofits, I've served on the board of the Japanese American National Museum, and currently I serve on the board of the International Visitors Authority here in Los Angeles.
Okay, next question. What endorsement are you most proud of? And we're going to start with Mr. Kaji.
First, I look to my wife, because if I did not have her support, I would not be here today. As far as other endorsements, I'm proud to say that I have endorsements from people from both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats. That includes people as diverse as Mike Antonovich, former supervisor, former LA Councilwoman Jan Perrick, also former council member David Ryu, George Takei, who's a community activist. One of my friends, Mr. Sean Layden, who's the former CEO and chairman of Sony PlayStation, is supporting me. And from the government side, there's an administrator named Mr. Robert Bratt, who was the administrator for the Office of Redress Administration. So I'm glad to say that I have strong bipartisan support, and I'm looking to represent everyone here in North Torrance. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Kartsonis.
Thank you. I have over 50 bipartisan endorsements from locally elected and appointed officials. I'm proud of every single one of them, from former Mayor Frank Scotto to current Councilman Mike Griffiths, current Councilwoman Heidi Ashcraft, former Councilman Tom Brewer, several commissioners, Commissioner Gene Adelsman, Commissioner Marianne Amata, the Young Leaders PAC, which is a group of they represent all the students in the state of California. They endorsed me very early on, and I'm very proud of that because you know, they're very important to me. Thank you.
Mr. Zygielbaum.
Thank you. It's hard to see you right behind Mike. It says disembodied voice. I am very proud of my public safety endorsements. Like I said, I'm a deputy district attorney. I've been doing that for 15 years. I've dedicated my life to public safety and the improvement of the community. So I've been endorsed by the Torrance Police Officers Association. I've also been endorsed by the Torrance Firefighters Association. I'm proud of those because they support my positions on public safety. They support fair, equitable treatment. They support accountability, and they support what I believe is the core of our city, right? The main services that we need here, fire and police. I'm also very proud of the endorsement by the LA County Federation of Labor. They represent 95 different unions, 800,000 people. And I'm very proud to say that they've endorsed me, in large part because of my positions on infrastructure and the ways that we need to improve this city and the ways that we need to grow the economy of the city and solve our budget crisis so we can increase our revenue and plan for our future. I'm also proud to be endorsed by Jeff Rizzo and Tim Goodrich, both council members former. Thank you.
And Mr. Gao.
Thank you. I'm proud of the endorsements that I have, including, among others, Mayor Pat Fury, our former Assembly member and Council member George Nakano, and former School Board President Terry Reagans. And I'm the only candidate for District 1 in North Torrance who's endorsed by the representatives on a federal, state, and local level who represent North Torrance. So Congresswoman Maxine Waters, Assembly Member Al Marasucci, and County Supervisor Janice Hahn all endorse me because of my community service, and I will work with them to make sure that we serve North Torrance. Thank you.
This next question is directed first to Mr. Kartsonis. How will you attract and retain high-quality police officers in our city?
Thank you. So, obviously, public safety is extremely important. It's one of the main reasons why people choose Torrance as a place to live. So, so having a robust, well-trained, well-supported police department is very important. We have some we have issues in that it's difficult to attract people to the career of a police officer at all, anywhere in the world right now. So that's one issue. The other issue is our budget, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, and making people feel comfortable that they can come to a city and will still have their job. So that's also really important. One of the draws that I've heard talking to my friends who are police officers is that there is career mobility in Torrance, which is very important because not everyone wants to be a beat cop forever. Some people want to work in SWAT, some people want to work in K-9, some people want to become a detective, and the city of Torrance offers those opportunities, and we need to make sure we continue to offer those.
For Mr. Kaji, how will you attract and retain high-quality police officers in our city?
The city of Torrance and the citizens deserve and demand the best. And Torrance Police Department has always had a reputation of being able to attract the best officers. However, one problem that I see is the cost of housing here in Torrance. I find that only a very small percentage of those in the department actually live here in Torrance because they can't afford the housing. So I believe that in order to attract quality members of Torrance Police, we need to address that housing, whether it's by providing some type of housing subsidy, providing some sort of financing for first-time home buyers in the department. We should have those individuals and their families living here and being an integral part of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gao. Same question.
Yes, thank you. So we need to make sure that our first responders' compensation is in line with other cities that are competing for our personnel. We don't want to hire and train staff only to lose them to agencies that are willing to make better offers or pay better rates. On the other hand, we owe it to our residents to guarantee that we are being fiscally responsible with our benefits packages, especially during our city's current fiscal situation. Striking the right balance is necessary to best serve the city and meet those needs of our first responders as well. I was in the Partners in Policing, our PIP number 42, a program that I hope will be reinstated soon. And I know that they all think, as they do their various presentations, that each section of the police department is the very best. And so I hope that we maintain that.
Mr. Zygielbaum, the same question. Do you need it repeated?
I think I know it, thank you. It's important to retain officers. This is one of the first times that we've had lateral transfers outside of our department. And I've worked very closely with the Torrance Police Department. I was assigned here to the Torrance Courthouse in the District Attorney's Office for over 2 years. I also still prosecute cases here in Torrance. I cover the southern half of LA County. I prosecute child homicide and all child abuse, complex child abuse. I cover the southern half of LA County. But to address the question, we need to do more. We need to ensure salary. We need to ensure benefits. We need to be competitive with our surrounding communities so people aren't driving in from somewhere else, passing departments that are offering them signing bonuses or offering them more training opportunities. So we need to expand training. We need to expand certification. We need to expand the ways that we can help them develop in their professional careers and be not just patrol officers, if they want to be, but also detectives. And we do need to explore housing subsidy. I've already started that conversation, whether it's decreasing a mortgage price or decreasing a housing price and having people obligated to be here for, say, 10 years. Thank you.
Okay, our next question. How will you ensure that our fire department remains a Class 1 fire department? And we're going to start with Mr. Gao.
Yes, thank you. Well, I met with the Firefighters Association, and I stressed that I think that it's very important that we do the same thing regarding the compensation. We need to make sure that they aren't transferring out because of competing cities who are willing to pay more than we're willing to pay. We need to make sure that our rates are comparable to other cities. So I will commit to making sure that we do that so that we don't have any situation where they are lured away by other cities.
Mr. Zygielbaum?
Thank you. So when the Torrance Firefighters Association endorsed me, when I met with them, we had this conversation about how we can retain people and why we're not retaining them now. And one of the problems is that we are training firefighters now, and the firefighters are leaving right after the training. So we actually have a double loss. We're training them, and then we're losing the cost on that, and we also have to train someone else and spend the time and the money on that too. So one of the ways we need to improve is we've got to improve the apparatus. We've got to improve stations. You know, Station 1, here in the center of the city, it's old. We got to do some improvements on that. We also need to keep talking about a housing subsidy and some way of ensuring people that serve here. So one of the options we have in public service in law is if you've done 10 years in public service, your federal loans are forgiven. As long as you've made 120 on-time payments. I see some lawyers in the crowd, I know they know what I'm talking about. That is one of the reasons why we have quality district attorneys and deputy district attorneys, because they're able to do that. So we need to provide something similar to firefighters and public safety personnel to make sure that they stay here. Thank you.
And Mr. Kaji?
It all comes down to money. If we can compensate those in our fire department, also police, and we compensate them well, we provide the right benefits package, and we provide incentives, I don't see a reason why Torrance shouldn't be pulling people from other departments and reverse the trend. So rather than be on defense, I would prefer to see Torrance Fire Department go on the offense. And I would sit down as a council member with the chief, with those on the line, and look at all the other departments that are taking away people from us. Because once again, Torrance should demand and expect the best. But to get the best, you gotta compete. And that's what I'd do as a member of the city council.
And Mr. Kartsonis?
Thank you. So as I said earlier, public safety is one of the main reasons why people choose Torrance. It's one of the reasons why my family chose to live here. It's one of the reasons why we chose to start our business here. And having a Class 1 fire department is important to me. As you know, we're well down in the process of transitioning from a firefighting sort of fire department to a rescue sort of department. The majority of the calls are actually, they're heart attacks, they're falls, they're the rescue sort of thing. So it's very important. It's very important to me as we have an aging population here in the city of Torrance. It's important to have lifesavers there when we need them. So making sure that they're paid appropriately is very important. If we need to reevaluate whether the department is top-heavy, then we need to reevaluate that as a council.
This next question is directed first to Mr. Zygielbaum. What is your position on the new 1/2 cent sales tax initiative that will be placed on the June ballot, and why?
I'm a public safety guy, and that 1/2 cent is going to pay for public safety. And so one of the things we have to talk about is what happens if we don't get it. Also, why we're in the position that we are where we have to ask for it. If we don't get it, the county's going to take it. And that's ultimately what's going to happen. And the more we publicize it, the more the county's going to realize that they have money sitting on the table that is ours that they can have. So if you want to keep your money here and not leave Torrance, we need that tax. We also needed to ensure that public safety and police and fire can support the way that we need to. There's going to be a drastic decrease in police support, police staffing, if we don't have that. And what police capability? We're not going to have investigations. We're going to have patrol and 911 response. That's straight out of Chief Hart's mouth. And so I'm concerned that public safety is going to dwindle and support for public safety will dwindle if we don't have that. The other thing is the cost, although it's a new tax, it is a cost. It's about $150 per household per year. It's almost the same as Amazon Prime. If I can get a package in 2 days, I want a firefighter at my house when I need them.
Mr. Gal, what is your position on the new 1/2 cent sales tax initiative that will be placed on the ballot in June, and why?
We need to vote yes for a safe, strong Torrance. A supporter of local business, my grandfather always said, if you can't find it in Torrance, you don't need it. Now our current sales tax is 9.5 cents. I, for one, would gladly pay an extra 1/2 cent to help Torrance. Sometimes you already are. If you go and buy something for $1, the tax is already rounded up to a dime. Let's make sure we vote to keep that money in Torrance rather than have it go to the county. Look, nobody likes increasing taxes, but our city's current financial situation necessitates the passing of the 1/2 cent sales tax That's ballot measure SST in June. But if this sales tax passes, it will not resolve our current economic crisis. To prevent higher taxes and fees, I'm committed to overhauling our whole budget. This is the only way to manage our finances without major tax increases.
Mr. Kartsonis, the same question.
So generally, I'm not in favor of increasing taxes. I'm almost always against increasing taxes. However, this is a very unique situation that we have here. The 5-cent sales tax could bring the city $18 million a year in additional revenues at a time where we absolutely need it. And the county is actively talking about raising the sales tax. And if the county raises the sales tax, then the money is going to the county. And I would much rather the money stay here in the city of Torrance where we can use it. We already, as sales taxpayers and as property taxpayers, are sending a lot of our money to the county. And if you look at things like Measure R and Measure M, which are transit taxes, or you look at Measure H, you can really see how we're giving a bunch of money to the county and it should be staying here in the city of Torrance. Measure H, for example, as property taxpayers, we pay $37 million to the county and we get $5 million back. It's not acceptable.
Mr. Kaji, the same question.
Thank you. I am against the proposed sales tax. I'll say it again. I'm opposed to the sales tax. Here's why. We're just crawling out of the COVID impacts on our economy. We're also faced with rampant inflation. Now is not the right time to impose an additional tax on the residents. That's going to work a hardship on across the board to everybody. Instead, I take a different position as a business person. This city should use the sales tax differential with all other cities as a competitive advantage. We have our car dealerships, we have all of our retailers, we have our restaurants. This city needs to learn how to compete for business. Drive business coming back and forth on the San Diego Freeway to generate revenue instead of taxing our residents. Thank you.
Okay, next question. If the sales tax measure fails, what cuts are you willing to make to essential services to help balance the city budget? And we're going to start with Mr. Kaji.
Essential services are number one. There should be no defunding, there should be no reduction in the budget for fire and police. If anything, the city has been operating in a deficit position. I don't care if the previous administration or current administration has stated that we have a balanced budget. That's been false. If you look at the balance sheet of the city, the reserve funds have been steadily depleted until we're at a point now where there's this idea of floating a proposed sales tax. If anything, city government must go on a diet. If we have to tighten our belts at City Hall, so be it. However, not at the expense of our essential services. That should be inviolate.
Mr. Kartsonis.
Thank you. So, it's a difficult question because it's not something you really want to do, and it's not something that I hope that we have to really face the brunt of. As a City of Torrance Planning Commissioner, I had mentioned we're actively working to we've already brought several new restaurants and businesses headquarters to North Torrance, trying to increase our revenue. And that's something that I'm proud of, and I think we need to focus on as a city, bringing more businesses like my business here in Torrance. Public safety is 60% of our city's budget. Anybody who says that we are going to cut our city's budget and it's not going to affect public safety is not telling you the truth. We absolutely are going to have to cut public safety if we are going to get there. The question is, how is it going to affect our residents? So the way we do that is we make it so it doesn't affect the people who are going to be at your door on the street, the police officers who will come to the rescue.
Mr. Zygielbaum.
Thank you. It's going to be rough for the next 5 to 10 years. It is going to be rough. We are going to have to make cuts. If the sales tax measure passes, great. It's $18 million, but it's also a drop in the bucket. It's not going to save us. It is something that we're looking at, and hopefully it passes. Tell your friends. get them to pass it. But if it doesn't, we're going to have to make some cuts. Public safety is my first priority. It's the community's first priority. We care about police and we care about fire. Police are going to have to make some cuts. Chief Hart's already looked at that, and fire is going to have to maybe make some cuts too. I will do everything I can to avoid cutting those positions, to avoid cutting either of those departments. But the other question is why we're in this position in the first place. And there's only so much you can cut before the body dies. You have to let it grow. You have to increase revenue. Let's bolster economic development. Let's find new ways of getting revenue to this city. Let's increase the occupancy tax by 1%. We'll make $1.5 million a year from hotels and corporate spend expenditures. Thank you.
And Mr. Gao.
Yes, thank you. You know, no one's more proud to be a citizen of Torrance than I am. And the truth is our financial health of the city is, you know, we're low to the bottom in reserves. We are, especially if the SST measure is not passed, are facing severe cuts, up to 5% in our public safety. No one wants that, but that's just where things are going. Anyone that says otherwise is not being honest about the financial situation. You can't not support the tax and think that you're not going to make severe cuts in our budget. It's going to happen. So we need to make sure that we do something to correct course. Our cost of our city is going up, but our revenues are flat. So we need to make sure that we increase revenues, bring business to Torrance.
Mr. Kartsonis, how do you think the transit center will impact city, businesses, and residents?
So that's a good question because we will see. I'm excited to see how it will bring people in and out of our city. I know I've been very outspoken in regards to the path that it takes. There has been talk about running it down the center of Hawthorne, which is a major artery in our community, in our city. I've been strongly against that. I've been strongly against that also because it would require some eminent domain for North Torrance homeowners. So I've been fighting against that since the very beginning. It should run along the right-of-way, which is already in place. And that's how I feel about that. It's very important that we protect our homeowners in that area.
Mr. Gao, how do you think the transit center will impact the city, businesses, and residents?
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm looking forward actually to the Mary Kay Giordano facility opening. I, for one, look forward to parking and taking a ride to LAX and having my car waiting for me back here in Torrance when I return from LAX. I think that that's going to be a fantastic asset to our city, and the impacts of running the line down Hawthorne is just not the way we want to go. We want to make sure that we use the existing right-of-way, and it's going to be a tremendous asset to our city. I'm looking forward to it.
Mr. Zygielbaum, the same question. Do you need it repeated?
No, I think I know it. Thank you. I think the transit center is going to be a boon to the city. I think that it can increase business revenue. It can increase our attractiveness to new businesses. Like I said, we can't just cut the budget forever. We have to increase revenue. So we've got to bolster our economic development. And so one of the things about landing new businesses here is you've got to make it even more attractive. Now, economic development's its own problem because there's only one person doing it. And she's doing a great job, but it's a shoestring operation. And so we need to bolster that. And so I'm not worried about landing the business once they get here. I'm worried about getting the line in the water. And so once we have the line in the water saying, let's attract more businesses, one of the things we can tout is, hey, people can get to your business. You can get to the airport now. You can get to the port. You can get to other places that your business will need. And people are coming. You want to start a new restaurant here near the transit center? Fantastic. We got people coming from other places in town. They're going to come by here and they're going to spend here. And guess what? That's more revenue for our city too. It also makes our city broader and better. So I'm excited that it's going to be here.
Mr. Kaji, same question.
For those of you who have traveled to Europe or to Asia and have used public transportation in those countries, I think you understand that stations aren't just the place to get on and off a subway or a train. They create jobs and revenue. If you go to Asia, and I lived in Tokyo, Japan when I worked for the state for 7 years, they've created a model in which retail, restaurants, coffee shops are all concentrated at the stations. You don't have to go far to buy your groceries. It's all right there, and it increases the convenience. I think what LA Metro is missing when you look at the countywide system is they're losing that revenue. It should be generated to help offset ridership fees. And I would hope in the future as a council member, we can create a better model here at the Torrance Metro Station.
Okay, the next question. What is your plan to address homelessness in the city of Torrance? And we're going to start with Mr. Zygielbaum.
Thank you. Excuse me. It's hard to talk up here in 1 minute increments. It's like a lightning round. But so the plan in homelessness is it can't just be Torrance, right? I think it's a mistake to say that we're siloed in and it can just be Torrance. It's a regional problem and it needs a regional answer. So we have to work with the Task Force on Homelessness from the South Bay Council of Governments. We have to look at LA County. And I live on the edge of the city. North Torrance is more affected by homelessness than the rest of the city is. We have Lawndale and Redondo Beach and the County of LA and Los Angeles and Gardena. We have to work with all those communities to have an answer. We also can't just solve it by throwing services at the people. We have to find out what the incentive is for the person that's unhoused and how we can help them best, whether it's financial, whether it's mental health, whether it's drug addiction, or whether it's choice. But we also have to broaden the conversation with residents. We have to engage our community because right now, they've asked for public comment, but the public is not commenting. We need to get involved and increase the conversation. Thank you.
Mr. Kaji.
Having spent a lot of my working years in downtown Los Angeles, specifically in the Little Tokyo district, Skid Row is right next to Little Tokyo. But looking at the homeless population and how it's exploded over the years, I understand that providing a house is just one step. And that's where I believe that the city of Torrance has to work more closely with our counterparts at the county and state level, because they need to step up and provide the wraparound services that these individuals need in order to transition from the street, lose their addictions, get whatever treatment they need so they can become productive members of our city and our society. So there's no easy solution, but I think the pallet houses are a first step, but we need more support at the county and state level.
Mr. Kartsonis.
Thank you. So this is obviously an extremely complicated issue because it goes beyond the borders of the city of Torrance. It goes beyond the borders of the county of Los Angeles. It goes beyond the borders of the state of California. This is really a truly national problem. Unfortunately, the solution to that problem has been really pushed all the way down to municipal government, which really isn't always the best place to solve it. This needs to be solved at the regional level. A lot of these homeless individuals, if you speak to them, are really, they're good people suffering from difficult times, either suffering from mental illness, suffering from drug addiction, suffering from economic issues. But we need to make sure our laws are enforced. We need to make sure that our businesses feel comfortable, that residents feel comfortable in their homes, that they don't have people like my neighbor just had somebody wandering through their backyard. When I was president of the El Camino College Foundation, we worked to bring food to the veteran.
And Mr. Gal.
Under my leadership, the Social Services Commission sponsored the homeless count, and we called for increasing the TMET program, where Torrance's trained mental evaluation teams respond to calls. This approach begins to create relationship and trust with people. In fact, it takes multiple contacts before they're confident and willing to accept support. We discovered that even though the county houses more people than ever, more and more people still become homeless. And the Pallet Home program is a good start as long as it's accompanied by plans to move towards rapid rehousing and wraparound services. Our work plan includes many of the county strategies for supporting the unhoused. We should participate in regional solutions without giving in to frustration and dehumanizing people with citations and warrants for arrest. We can compassionately help people, including our homeless TUSD students, improve their lives, meet basic needs, and help many of them get off the street.
Mr. Gall, the Torrance Unified School District serves over 23,000 students and shares the same constituent group with the city. How would you ensure that we maintain a healthy working relationship with the school district?
Well, I think it's imperative that we work with our TUSD friends. We want to make sure that we have a good relationship with them. That's why I'm very proud to be endorsed by former president of TUSD board, Terry Riggins, and I want to make sure that we make sure that our budget is in line with what the school is doing as well. We want to make sure that we're supporting them as well. Thank you.
Same question, Mr. Kartsonis.
Thank you. So the Torrance Unified School District and the City of Torrance are really the two big taxpayer-funded institutions in our city. So as a taxpayer myself, I would very much like every dime that I spent to go to, to be used wisely. So I think any sort of synergy or any sort of relationship that we can foster with the school district is very important. I have a really good working relationship with all of the school board members at TUSD. So I think we can do some great stuff there. We already do a little bit partnering with them. We have police officers in the schools. We have crossing guards, which the city pays for, which is a very important service to our residents and to our students. We provide before and after school programs, which is very important to working parents. So that's something that I'd like to also make sure that we continue to foster with the school district.
Same question, Mr. Kaji.
Torrance Unified School District has always been an attraction for families to move here. And I think many of you who have had your kids in TUSD understand that. And they provide the education incentive. For city government, whose goal or whose role is to provide all of the other services to support the residents, they have to work hand in hand. Right now, as I see the city government's state of affairs, that's going to impact the perception by our students and their families. So I would like to be able to also look at all the diversity that exists in among our students and to engage many more of those families to help provide maybe special language training and transition. So in that way, we'll be able to continue to attract students and families. Thank you.
Mr. Zygielbaum, same question.
Thank you. I think we need to improve the relationship between Torrance Unified and the city. I think that there are missed opportunities, that we are not doing enough as a city to engage the school board. I've started talking with the school board about innovative programs that we can do. I'm a volunteer teacher every Thursday. I teach as a part of Project Lead through the district attorney's office. And what we do is we teach civics, we teach personal responsibility, and we teach criminal justice. I teach both 5th grade classes at Carr Elementary. Like I said, I did it today. And Carr Elementary, this is their first time doing it. They didn't know about it. I called over and I said, why aren't you a part of this? And the principal said, because I didn't know about it. And so I said, well, let's be a part of it now. And I got them signed up. So what we need to do as a city, what I will do as a council member, is engage with the school board. We'll engage with TUSD and make sure that we're doing innovative programs that benefit our students, that enrich their experience. There's no reason why our scores in North Torrance should be lower than the rest of the city. We can improve that. My mom's been a teacher for 50 years. I'm proud to say that I've been endorsed by teachers to the Los Angeles County Federation of Labor. Let's work.
Okay, next question. How will you ensure that the Torrance refinery continues to operate safely in our community? And we're going to start with Mr. Kaji.
Thank you. The continued use of modified hydrochloric acid poses a danger. I think everyone here in North Torrance understands. Even though it's in District 3, we border that. We avoided a tremendous potential disaster back in 2015. So, however, the refinery is an employer. It's a major contributor in property taxes to the city. I understand, and I'll be visiting the refinery in the next few weeks to see what mitigation efforts have been taken to better protect the MHF that's on site. However, the future of Torrance shouldn't be based on petroleum. I think instead looking at the potential of hydrogen and ways in which this city can benefit from that by using, by way of cogeneration. I think as a council member, I'd like to add that. Thank you.
Mr. Zygielbaum?
Thank you. So the Torrance refinery, after the accident in 2015, has gone through multiple safety requirements. And so one of the things we have to do is, as a city, is hold them to those requirements, make sure that we're compliant with state regulations, make sure that we're compliant with AQMD regulations, the Air Quality Management District. And MHF is a problem. And I support removing MHF in the process. The problem is, it's not like subbing in sugar or brown sugar in your cake recipe. It's a big chemical process where we'd have to change the catalyst. It's very expensive. And so one of the things that I want to do as a council member, and I've started the conversation with the refinery already, is finding an incentive to get them to change. They're a business. The number that I've heard for the change, the lowest number I've heard, is $300 million to get away from MHF. Now, if we can find incentives either through state or federal funding, or even a local way of doing it, maybe we can help them be safer and make it in their best interest. But we have to ensure safety. I've got 2 kids, I got 1 on the way. I want to make sure we're as safe as possible.
Mr. Gall?
You know, dealing with environmental and safety issues at the Torrance refinery and overall safety of our community should be of utmost concern for all of us. And a plan that employs more workers to a solution should be a primary objective. I have a unique experience. I served on both the ExxonMobil Community Advisory Panel, and I'm a founding member of the Torrance Refinery Action Alliance, a community group focused on addressing the use of MHF. In fact, I might be the only candidate who actually lived in North Torrance District 1 when the refinery exploded 7 years ago. I am the only candidate who's endorsed by the leaders in federal, state, and county who have already weighed in on this issue. Janice Hahn, Maxine Waters, and Al Murasucci have all weighed in. And as your council member, I will continue to work with them on the safety of North Torrance.
And Mr. Kartsonis?
Thank you. So this is something I've been involved in before I started running for city council. The refinery was here before I moved here, and it's likely going to be a reality of our city for many years to come. However, it is the responsibility of the city to ensure the safety of our residents. The city needs to continue to work with various stakeholders and facilitate the ongoing dialogues and evidence of refinery safety. Having lived in the area before deciding to run for city council affords me the benefit of having been here for our most recent incidents. And I've had a lot of conversations with residents and representatives from the refinery. This recent incident this last month ended up being minor, but it is the first incident since the coker explosion. I've already been working to increase accountability of the refinery, and I will continue to do so as councilman. I serve on the Torrance Refinery Citizens Advisory Panel, and while serving on the City of Torrance Parks and Recreation Commission, I made the motion to bring the air quality sensor to Gunzer Park to ensure the air quality for our residents in Northeast Torrance.
Okay, now we've come to the last question, and well, perhaps it's the most controversial. And I'm going to address it to Mr. Gall. What is your favorite restaurant in North Torrance?
The Country Touch is a very popular one, so I think that might be the one to go to.
Mr. Kaji, same question.
I'd like to provide a political response. I support every restaurant in North Torrance. All of them are my favorites. I can't choose, so I'll just leave it at that.
Mr. Zygielbaum, the same question.
Thank you. Well, it depends on the day. If you ask my kids, they're going to be 4 and 2 in the end of May. Their birthdays are 2 days apart. But if you ask them on a Sunday morning what their favorite restaurant is, both of them will say John's Donuts. But we love going to Joe Sweet Ramen. We get ramen all the time. We love going to Burger City Grill. It's down the street from us. And so, I'm dealing with toddler food all the time. So that's, my options are limited at the moment. But that's actually one of the things we need to do is increase businesses in North Torrance, make it an even better place. Thank you.
Mr. Kartsonis, the same question.
Thank you. And on the planning commission, we actually just approved a new business coming in, a new restaurant coming into North Torrance that I'm kind of excited about. It's going to be a chicken restaurant, so I'm excited for that. That'll be in the running potentially. I think I'm also going to say Burger City Grill. I had my campaign kickoff there because my family loves it, and it's greasy, but it's really good. So that was one. We have some amazing Japanese food here. We have some amazing Vietnamese food. Part of the reason why I like Torrance and I like North Torrance because we have such a unique opportunity to eat all sorts of different foods.
Okay, at this time, we are now going to have closing statements, and you have 2 minutes, and we're going to start with Mr. Zygielbaum.
Thank you. Oh, I have to wait for the buzzer. My name is Dave Zygielbaum, and I want to represent North Torrance in the City Council. As a Deputy District Attorney, I've been fighting for the people of Los Angeles County to protect them for the last 15 years. I've been dedicated my life to public safety and to the improvement of my community. I'm running to protect this community and to build a better future for North Torrance and the city as a whole. Let's protect and secure public safety. Let's create compassionate regional solutions for homelessness that solve the problems from both ends. Let's update North Torrance's infrastructure. Let's fix the city's budget crisis and secure our economic future. After my home was broken into with my wife and my 2 young daughters inside, and then my neighbor's home was broken into the same way a few months later, I couldn't stand by and watch our community become less safe. So we started a neighborhood watch to make sure that we're really listening to and really caring for our neighbors. That's what I want to do on City Council. Is listen with an open, honest ear and provide effective solutions that do the greatest good for the greatest number of people. Those are the lessons I teach every Thursday at Carr Elementary. Those are the values I use as a City of Torrance Airport Commissioner. And North Torrance is tired of being overlooked. That ends now. With this election, we have a generational opportunity to make our city better. We have a real chance to improve North Torrance. It's time to stand up for North Torrance. It's time for our needs to be addressed. And it's time to make our voices heard. North Torrance deserves an experienced, passionate, and loyal advocate. I am that advocate. And I will build consensus to get things done. It's what I do every day as a Deputy District Attorney, and it's what I'll do for North Torrance. Again, my name is Dave Zygielbaum, and I'm running to represent North Torrance. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Okay, Mr. Kaji, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, neighbors, for coming here tonight. District 1 deserves just as much attention as the rest of Torrance. I'm fortunate to live and work in Torrance. I've built a business here, created jobs, and I've also worked in government. As director of the California Office of Trade and Investment, I brought more than $1.9 billion in new investment and trade deals that employed thousands of Californians. And one of those examples was right here in Torrance, the Panasonic DVD plant that employed 400 people. Experience matters. So does personally investing in our community. Tomorrow, I will present a check of $10,000 to North Torrance High School to support the athletic department and our youth. And I'll be joined by my good friend, former Heisman Trophy winner and Super Bowl champion, Mike Garrett. The state auditor rates Torrance as the 4th worst city in California. Before the city asks you to pay more taxes, we deserve a full independent audit of City Hall. How can politicians ask you to give more in sales tax during a pandemic and inflation? That's why I oppose the sales tax. Your safety and your family's safety is city government's highest priority. Maintaining our fire and police departments at current levels comes first, even if we have to tighten our belts. Mental health and substance abuse services for the homeless must accompany housing. Finally, as I said, we must phase out modified hydrofluoric acid at Torrance Refinery and ensure that stringent measures are used to reduce the risk to the public. Thank you for your time, and I humbly ask for your vote on June 7th. Thank you.
Mr. Kartsonis?
Thank you. My road to City Council was not abrupt or opportunistic. Rather, if you look into my past, you'll see a decades-long stream of Torrance-focused volunteer efforts that have allowed me to learn from the inside out how the city works and how to affect real change. I don't represent one group, and I'm not beholden to a political agenda, save for the safety, prosperity, and preservation of the city of Torrance. That's why I have over 50 bipartisan endorsements from locally elected and appointed officials, from Frank Scotto to George Nakano. I haven't accepted donations from developers or special interests, with the exception of the Torrance Police Officers Association, because I'm a strong supporter of public safety. If you want to learn more about me and my campaign, or see my full endorsement list, please visit my website at www.davidfortorrance.com. As a City of Torrance Planning Commissioner, a longtime North Torrance resident and homeowner, and a Torrance small business owner, I'm truly invested in our community. And that's been demonstrated by my service to our community. I didn't just move here, and I didn't just start getting involved to help fuel my political aspirations. I have a strong understanding of our education systems here in Torrance, having served on the board and as president of the El Camino College Foundation for 10 years, and working at with the Torrance Education Foundation for the Torrance Unified School District. As a business owner, I've been involved with the Chamber of Commerce, serving as a technology chair for several years. I also serve on TOCA, the Torrance Cultural Arts Foundation, and the Torrance Refinery Citizens Advisory Panel. I served on the City of Torrance Parks and Recreation Commission, and currently serve on the City of Torrance Planning Commission. I truly care about serving our community, and that's why the work that I've done has prepared me so well to now serve on the City Council. I know how to listen to residents and to work with my fellow council people to get it done. Thank you everyone for listening. Please take a sign, and I hope I've earned your vote.
Mr. Gao?
Thanks to the North Torrance Neighborhood Association for hosting, and to all of you for coming out tonight. People in North Torrance are tired of being ignored. As your council member, I will give North Torrance the attention it deserves. I'm the candidate with deep historic investment in our community, lived longer in North Torrance, and I was born in the original Torrance Memorial Hospital. My grandparents ran Vanderpool Swim School. I still talk to people who say, oh, I learned to swim there. I'm a problem solver. I helped save the city millions by creating the final council-approved map for the districts that we're now using. This is the first time we will use this map to elect the council member for this new district. We should pick someone who has stood for our district. Like in 2020, I called upon the council to allow a ballot drop box in North Torrance, but they didn't listen. I believe voters in North Torrance deserve better. Another issue is the homelessness. Under my leadership, we created the framework for the city's homelessness plan. And my service to the community is why I'm endorsed by Mayor Pat Fury, George Nakano, and former president of TUSD, Terry Reagans, in addition to our congressional rep in North Torrance, our county supervisor, and our assembly member. And I will work with them to solve problems in North Torrance and bring resources to the city and make services easier to access and government more responsive to its residents. I'm running to make North Torrance a better place for our children and grandkids. So I support smarter development for a cleaner, greener environment. Let's make District 1 the place to live, work, and play. A vote for Jimmy Gao is a vote for that vision. I'm here to listen and serve. Go to jimmygaofortorrance.com and let me know I have your vote. Thank you.
Let's all thank the candidates for this. And right now, this concludes the City Council Forum for District 1. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, candidates, and good luck. So I would like to introduce Mayor Pat Fury, who's going to provide us a brief view of our ballot measures.
Okay, folks, you just heard the candidates for the future, and here you are hearing the candidate from the past. I've been on the council now 14 years. Prior to that, I did 8 years as the president of this organization and representing you at the council level. I'm here to ask you to please vote yes on SST. Measure SST. Safe, Strong Torrance. If you want more information about it, go onto the website, Safe Strong Torrance, one word, .org. It gives you all the details. But I'm going to give you a little background. When I took office in 2008, our operating budget was $164 million. If that had increased just a modest 3% per year, compounded, our budget should be $254 million today. Unfortunately, it didn't go that way. In those 14 years, we've not raised the taxes in this city. The taxes you pay as a resident of Torrance are utility users tax, property tax, and sales tax. Property tax, the city gets a minuscule amount, 13%. Every dollar you pay, we get 13 cents. That's been pretty static all along. It goes up a little bit because of Prop 13. We all enjoy that. It means it doesn't go up really high. Utility users tax. This is a 6% to 6.5% on your utilities. And thankfully, everybody has been cutting back on their utilities. They're environmentally friendly. We use different light bulbs now. We have different heaters now. Our utility users tax receipts that we receive in the city has been going down. Sales tax. It is always going up really nicely until something happens like an anomaly like we found in March of 2020 when it fell off the table. But our budget for next year will be probably in the area of $210,000 to $220,000, $220 million. Not $254 million if we had gone up the 3%. Okay? So what else has happened along that? You'll hear people saying, and the opponents saying that spending out reserves. Well, we have spent reserves. And reserves are used for anomalies. A couple of the anomalies that occurred, 2009, anybody here remember the recession? When people were losing their homes, losing their jobs, banks were folding? It took us several years to come out of that. We were almost coming out of that when the state of California dissolved the redevelopment agencies in local agencies. So we lost that stream of income, stream of development that we should have had. 2014, you remember our large automobile manufacturer at Western and 190th Street announced it was leaving the city of Torrance? That did impact our budget. That did impact the money that we brought in. 2015, you heard a number of discussions about the explosion that occurred at the refinery. But did you know, in the time that that refinery was out of business, the city of Torrance had to dip into the reserves $10 to $12 million to backfill from the money that was not received because the refinery was out of commission? These are anomalies that you have to take from your reserves. 2016, that auto manufacturer left our city. That was an economic anomaly. We lost those employees. We lost the money that they were spending. I'll bring up really recently, 2020, March 1st, 2020. This is before the pandemic hit. We suffered a ransomware attack, shut down our entire system. We had to set up a side system to actually keep our city operating. And little did we know, 13 days later, we were advised of the pandemic and the whole economy was shut down while we were still pivoting from the downturn of our website. COVID hit, we lost all of our sales tax. Nothing was open for 2.5 months, no income at all. Utility users tax, although people were staying home, businesses weren't spending money with their lights on. Our utility users went down. Our bed tax at the hotels died. There was nobody traveling and staying in hotels. So we lost a lot of money on that. Then there was the civil unrest, the protection of the mall that was occurring. These all cost money. We provided food for some of our seniors who couldn't get out of their houses. We put together vaccine programs. This all cost money, which set us in a situation that, yes, we need more money. And a 0.5-cent sales tax, no matter what anybody says, it's $5 on $100. $5 on $1,000. So every $1,000 you spend, it's about a cup of coffee at Starbucks. But it makes the big difference. As one of the candidates pointed out, it's probably an average of $150 per household. And 30% of our sales tax is paid by people who come here. They buy their cars here, they shop at the mall. They're paying that tax to pay for the streets that they're driving on, the police protection that they have, the fire protection that they have while they're in the city. It's really a safe thing. And then the last thing is, of course, it was mentioned, if we don't do it, there is somebody else who's going to take that money, whether it's the County of Los Angeles, the Air Quality Management District, who are thinking about putting a 3-county tax measure on. They will take that money and we won't have it. This is your money, folks. Invest it in your city. It's a half a cent. 1/2 cent. Think of it in a smaller terms as 1/2 cent to make sure that our police department is fully funded. Make sure our fire department is fully funded. Make sure our libraries are open. Make sure that our streets are repaired. Make sure that our city blossoms. As I said, 14 years on the council, we've not raised the taxes at all. And in fact, I've just explained to you where we've lost taxes during that period of time. Vote yes on SST. I really encourage you. You're going to hear more information. A lot of people are supporting this. And I really think this is the way we will go in the future. This is not for me. These are for your new council candidate, your new mayor, whoever is elected. I don't want to leave them in a lurch. This is my goodbye present to those people. I'm going to work hard to pass SST, and I encourage all of you to do so. So thank you very much for a few minutes. And this is half time before the next debate.
Okay, good evening. We'd like to begin District 3's candidate forum. We have our questionnaires, Rita Anderson and Becky Terry. Terry, you would like to begin?
Oh, yes. Okay, first question. What attracted you to live in North Torrance, and how long have you resided in District 3? And we're going to start with Ms. Cotner.
Hi. Actually, I don't live in North Torrance. I live over in Central Torrance, and I moved into District 3 in 2019, October.
Okay, Mr. Sheikh?
Thank you for the question. I moved to Torrance, Central Torrance, about 13 years ago to be exact. And what attracted me to the city of Torrance is the people, the diversity, the education, the public school, the safety. When I started my work at American Honda, we literally went to so many different streets and places here. We were so lucky that one day, back 24 years ago, I thought this is the city I want to be in. And that's why I thought, let's find out what we have in this city. The exciting people, the people inviting, the welcoming people, the diversity, how they attract, how the businesses. This is the balanced city in the entire, I say the planet. There is no city like the Torrance. We have everything in Torrance. So many things to be thankful, and I believe the people, the diversity is one of the main things that attracted me to Torrance. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Second question. What is your position on the planned residential development at the Del Amo Mall, as well as overall development in the city? And I'll start with Mr. Sheikh.
Thank you again for the question. I moved to the city of Torrance because of the characteristics, the balanced city, and I think the development is taking that away, and I'm very fearful. And that's why I signed a petition to stop the development. SB 9 is one of the main concerns that we have. I did not sign by myself. I took my neighbors. I took my wife, my children. Let's sign the petition. Let's stop this overdevelopment. I am very concerned what's going on, and I would urge everyone to please go and sign the petition. We need cities to get involved. This is so critical for us. They're asking us to have 5,900 houses in the city of Torrance. We cannot afford that. Let's get together with other cities and let's kill this SB 9 and let's stop the development. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Cotner.
Can you read it again?
I
I'm
would
sorry.
be happy to.
Thank you.
What is your position on the planned residential developments in Del Amo, at the Del Amo Mall now, as well as overall development in the city?
Well, the one at the Del Amo Mall, I believe you're talking about the one over by the Union Bank or the bank there. That's a senior housing I don't want to say yay or nay on something that I haven't really reviewed, but I am totally against overdevelopment for our community. I moved to Torrance 25 plus years ago with my family, and I love that it's a community. I love that we have our single family homes and that our neighbors are neighbors, and SB 9, as he stated, is going to destroy our city, as well as this 5,900 houses that they want to put in our community. We have an infrastructure problem first. We need to fix our roads and have enough police to be able to build that many units. I think they want to put, like I said, something like 5,000 units. I really think we need to not do that.
Thank
Totally.
you. Thank you.
Okay, next question. Have you served on any boards, commissions, or panels, and how long have you served? If not, what contributions have you made to North Torrance or to your community? And we're going to start with Ms. Cotner.
No, I haven't been on any commissions here in Torrance. But during the COVID, I do a lot of volunteer work. I work with New Challenge Ministries over in Torrance, in North Torrance. I also have volunteered. My favorite is Little Company of Mary, NODA, No One Dies Alone. It's an amazing program. And I also, during the COVID, did Meals on Wheels, as well as organized and the material for the amazing seamstresses to make the mask for the front line. So that's how I've participated in the community lately.
Mr. Sheikh.
Thank you again for the question. It's one of the most important questions, and I believe in community service. I tell my children to get involved and have been involved for decades. I've been a library commissioner. I was a civil service commissioner. I was a vice chair to the civil service commissioner. I was a chairman to the employment relation committee. I was also so many other committees, including Torrance Education Foundation. One of the main things that I want to sometimes I brag about it, that I work I'm serving in Torrance Education Foundation. And currently, the most important, I'm a chairman to the Planning Commission. One of the most important commission, the decisions that we make, they hold. It is very important for us to understand that what we do in the Planning Commission is very important. Every time there's a hearing come to us, I literally go to the spot and make sure I make the right decision. I have served so many commissions. Thank you for the question again.
Thank you. All right, the next question, and I'm going to start with Mr. Sheikh. What endorsement are you most proud of, Mr. Sheikh?
Thank you again for the very important question. I have gotten 40 plus endorsements. The one I really worked hard and the one I really thank the endorsement is the endorsement from my wife and children. And I can tell you, it was difficult than my job at American Honda. My interview job was difficult than getting endorsement from my wife. She had so many questions. But besides that, after I got approval from my wife, I got endorsements from local activists, local leaders. Chief New is the one recently endorsed me yesterday. I'm proud to say that Mayor Fury has endorsed me. I'm immensely proud that Jeff Rizzo has endorsed me. I have endorsed by Al Marsucci. I have endorsed by over 40 commissioners. And every endorsement means something. They and I, we agree, one goal in mind, well-being of Torrance. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Cotner, how about? Whoops.
Okay.
How about you, Ms. Cotner? What endorsement are you most proud of?
You know what? I think the one I'm the most proud of is with the current, there's two council members that I'm very in line with, and people are probably gonna go, no, it's not a good one, but I love Aurelio Matucci and George Chen, and they both are on the city council right now, and we have the same ideas about going out and doing things for the city, and not just sitting around, but doing things. And so that's mine.
Thank you, Ms. Cotner.
Okay, next question. How will you attract and retain high-quality police officers in our city? Ms. Cotner.
That's a great question. We, as a city council, don't really hire the police officers. That's done by the chief and decided by the city manager, but I think we have to let the system work. It's Chief Hart do his job. I think part of what we also have, because the issue with the police is there's not a lot of communication with the community. So one of the things I'm going to do is have monthly or bi-monthly meetings and bring in top leadership, a lieutenant that will come in whenever he can and meet with the citizens. I think that's really important. I'm not, it's not my job. Sorry, it's not.
Okay, Mr. Sheikh.
Thank you again for a great question. This is very important to me. The reason I moved to the city of Torrance is because of the public safety. I have been advocating and telling that we have to retain police officers here. And how are we going to do that? We have to have a buy-in for the entire family. I personally have requested my daughter to get involved and become a police officer. She was involved in the policing for the Torrance High School. In this high school, she was involved with that. She was also part of the El Camino Explorer program. How are we going to attract and retain those police officers? Number one, we want to make sure they're protected. Number one, they are wanted people. We need to provide them the tools. They should be comfortable when they go outside in the field. They need to realize that their lives are very important. They are protecting our lives. And we have to help them getting the tools they need. Thank you again.
All right. The next question. How will you ensure that our fire department remains a consistent Class 1 fire department? And I'll start with Mr. Sheikh again.
Thank you again. I had a great conversation with the Fire Chief Sarna as well, and also the Fire Union. I have addressed the thing is that these people they have a very extremely tough job. And again, we need to make sure their tools, their necessities, we need to meet them. We make sure that we have open communication with them, what exactly is needed. The Class 1 officer is not easy to be. We have been Class 1 officer. In fact, the page for the fire says we have been Class 1 officer for 20 years, and that date was in 2017. After 2017, we are still Class 1 officer. And the reason because the characteristics, because the people that put their heart out, and I admire them for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Cotner, same question.
I believe that Chief Cerna and the fire union, I have many conversations with them. They are really amazing about working with the firemen about what they need. And I think that the best thing we can do to keep it as a Class 1 is always keep up on the technology. I think there's going to be ways to fight fires differently. It's not always going to be just the truck. And I think if we stay up on the technology and give them a raise, we're losing a lot of paramedics or EMS drivers, and I think it's important that we figure out a way to put that in the budget.
Thank you.
Okay, next question. What is your position on the new 1/2 cent sales tax initiative that will be placed on the June ballot, and why?
Oh, is that me? I'm not happy about it. I don't think that in a time like this, when everything costs more, our groceries, our gas, our everything. I mean, I don't think we need to tax our citizens. I am anti-tax everything. I don't believe in it. I do, everybody's like, well, how are you going to fix the deficit? Well, I think you have to remember, everything's more expensive. So the sales tax that's coming in is more than it was because everything's more expensive. They already have bigger than they thought they would. So I'm hoping that stays. But no, I'm not for it.
Mr. Sheikh.
Thank you again. It's a very important question for a city and every single resident. They need to understand the 1/2 cent, what does that mean? Number one, it will not impact our food essential items. We will not have to pay additional tax on our food necessities. That is completely, I want you to understand. I cannot emphasize more than enough. It has been established that we got a lot of money, American Recovery, and we are one of the lowest cities that have 9.5% sales tax. County and other agencies are looking at it. How can they possibly increase the tax so they can possibly get the money they gave us? It's important for us to understand, please research. Whatever the constituents decide, What I will do with these 1 cent increase, I make sure that we do not spend that 1/2 cent increase on any of the city staff or any of the things. It has to go to the necessities for our city. Thank you.
So as a follow-up, so if the sales tax measure does fail, what cuts are you willing to make to essential services to help balance the city budget? And Mr. Sheikh, first for you.
Thank you. When I did my first MBA, I was told, in theory, the only way to balance the budget is increase revenue or cut taxes. I did my second MBA, in theory, same thing. Working at American Honda for over 24 years, we've gone through so many things. I do not want us to focus on cutting. Right now, we already have cut 9%, then we cut 5% already. I want us to focus how we're gonna bring new jobs here, how we're gonna bring new businesses and have them retain here. The efficiency of our resources. This is the important element to have efficient use of efficient resources. How are we gonna do that? Our economic development department, their job is to, number one, to attract new businesses, bring and retain them. This is how we're gonna balance the budget, by bringing the revenue. Focus on revenue. Thank you.
And Ms. Cotner, the same question to you. Do
Can
you
you
need
I'm
happy.
sorry.
No problem. I'm going to reread it to you. So if the sales tax measure does fail, what cuts are you willing to make to essential services to help balance the city budget?
Well, this isn't pretty, but everything's on the table, except police and fire. We may have to contract out some services. That's one way to do it. I think a lot of it is getting together, collaborating with the staff, with the whole council, and coming up with ideas other than cutting police and fire. It's not okay with me. I grew up with the police in my community. It's not okay for them to have cuts. There's 230 vacancies right now, and the city hasn't filled them. And the city survived. They've done well, they've done okay. And I think of those, 130 of them are in the general fund. So remember, they haven't hired in those positions. So we're okay right now.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. How do you think the transit center will impact the city, businesses, and residents? Ms. Cotner.
Oh, okay, I think it's gonna bring in a lot of visitors. What I'd love to see with Torrance is that we become a destination rather than a pass-through city, which means I have some ideas for some of the vacant land and some of the spots that are being sold that I'd love to community development to go to and bring in entertainment. Think about it. We miss going out, right? We've been locked up and masked on our face for years. So I think it's time that we get entertainment place where there's music, retail, restaurants, and we break bread together.
Mr. Sheikh.
Thank you again. Transit Center, I think this is one of the biggest accomplishments, and I want to thank our city council, what they did on that. That's a good, very, very important. I believe it's going to help us a lot. The number one that I'm passionate about, the traffic. It will impact our traffic. It will reduce our traffic. It has environment impact on atmosphere. We need to be, we're going to use that, and we're going to attract more people come in the city of Torrance and use the transit to go to different places. This is very critical, and I am so thankful to our city council for approving that. This can also have impact on our revenue. People will come here, they're going to take the transit, park their car. They'll have so much opportunities. We may bring people come to the city of Torrance, and they may love and have other opportunity to come and stay and come and move in Torrance, possibly in District 3, and vote for me.
Fill in those votes.
Okay, thank you. The next question for both of you. What is your plan to address homelessness in the city of Torrance? And Mr. Sheikh, again, start with you.
Thank you again. Homelessness is a very complex issue, And I think if you're observing any homelessness, or you're at a risk of being homeless, or you're concerned about the unhoused folks there in the libraries, in the parks, You have to understand that Torrance and other communities, we are very limited what we can do. The Martin versus Boise Act was passed, and it states emphatically, we cannot enforce anti-camping ordinance until we provide them the shelter. What does that mean? This means if we force them out, it will impact. We are basically responsible for financial liability. It can become our financial liability. Make no mistake, it can impact businesses as well. City has taken a good step, but I pledge we will change the location. I do not agree with the location. With your help, I will make that happen.
Ms. Cotner, the same question. What is your plan to address homelessness in the city of Torrance?
Well, I believe enforce the anti-camping ordinance once the the little pod village is done. I also am adamant against where it is. I've been working with the city. We found 3 viable places that may work. They just need to be rezoned. I want to make sure they're not near residents because it changes the environment. It changes our well-being. We don't feel safe. And so if you enforce the anti-camping ordinance and they don't want to go, then we have a right to ask them to leave. And that's the hard part. It's, I think another council person came up with the term compassionate enforcement. We don't want them on the streets, even if they were my family. I don't want them on the streets. We're hoping to reunite them with families, get them the help they need, work with the county to get them in mental and addiction places.
Thank you.
It's very complex.
Okay, the next question. The Torrance Unified School District serves over 23,000 students and shares the same constituent group with the city. How would you ensure that we maintain a healthy working relationship with the school district? I'm going to start with Ms. Cotner.
That's a great question. My kids are grown. I raised 2 kids through the Torrance schools. They both graduated from South High, and I think communication's the best way. So part of that monthly meeting or bi-monthly meeting I do, I think we need to include the Torrance School Board, one for that area, and come in and talk and have these conversations without everybody screaming at everybody and common sense ideas.
Okay, Mr. Sheikh?
Thank you again. I have been involved with TUSD. I've been also the board director for Torrance Education Foundation. We work very closely. I found out we already have so many programs in place. For instance, juvenile diversion program. It's a very important program. I don't have time to go elaborate on that. In addition to that, I think internship at the city, we should provide them. We have to invite them to the city council and tell them how the businesses run. We should also have the city council with the Torrance Unified School District. I'm thinking about possibly in the future have some kind of sports together. Councilman versus students. It's gonna invite people more. It's gonna be fun. We have to make sure that they are welcome. They are the future of our city. We have to make sure they understand how connected we are with them. And the best way is to get them engaged. Thank you again.
All right, next question. How will you ensure that the Torrance refinery continues to operate safely in our community? Mr. Sheikh.
Thank you for the question. It's one of the critical questions. As you guys may have heard that LSC supervisor, Janice Hahn, and they passed a motion that we have to take this issue to the governor and have the governor look into the reduction of MHF. I think this is a great opportunity for both parties to come together on the table and discuss. I urge at this point to Torrance Refinery come to the table with so many conditions. How can we help them to make sure it's safe? It is a possibility they can ask for literally aid. At this point, California is $40 billion surplus. They can help them to get rid of chemicals if they want. I want them to be very, very open, come on the table and discuss the opportunities. How can they both compromise over this solution? Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you read it again? I'm sorry.
No problem, Ms. Cotner. How will you ensure that the Torrance refinery continues to operate safely in the city of Torrance?
Well, they do operate very safely. I did meet with them for about 2 hours and got a tour, and it's a new company bought it. the Torrance Refinery is now owned by a new owner, and they have done amazing, high-tech safety protocols. I mean, it's amazing what they've done, and I recommend that any of you that are concerned, reach out to them and get a tour. The other thing too, as city council, my job is to not dictate to an owner what they have to do. It's a landowner. It would be like somebody telling you what you have to do on your property. So what I would do is let the people that are reviewing them, OSHA, all those government agencies that review that kind of stuff and keep on it, and Janice Hahn is going to go out and look at it. Let's figure out exactly, when they tell us what we need to do, then we'll do it. But I think if you've got a chance, go check it out. They've done amazing safety over what they were supposed to do. Sorry, I finally got it.
Thank you.
Okay, this is our last question, and I think it's a little controversial, but I think you'll like this question.
Oh.
What is your favorite restaurant in North Torrance?
I don't live in North Torrance, remember, so I'm in Central Torrance. But my favorite restaurant, you can't tell my fitness person, is In-N-Out. But other than that, I can't tell you of one favorite restaurant. Torrance has a lot of great restaurants. They really do. And if I tell you one, then I might get banned from Friends Restaurant. So let's just say they all have great restaurants, and we should all go visit all of them and break bread together, because we need to get out more and support them because they need the tips. Thanks.
Mr. Sheikh.
Thank you again. Very important question. And I think what happens is, when you're married for 27 years, it doesn't matter what you like. It's what your boss likes. And my boss, she likes Roca restaurant on Hawthorne. She's Roca, the noodles, she loves that. And I cannot say no. There are a lot of others, but that's the one I have to agree with that because she likes it. And she's here. I don't want her to say other restaurant. Thank you.
All right. So it's now time for closing statements, and you each get 2 minutes. And so we're going to start with Mr. Sheikh. And as soon as our timer's ready.
Oh, he's got to
I have
set
more
the
time
timer.
now. I'm ready. First of all, I want to thank North Torrance Neighborhood Association for organizing this event. It's very important. Thank you. I also want to thank you, all of you, to being here. Because of you, I'm running. I also want to thank my opponent, be here. In this election, the choice is very clear. I have proven experience working with nonprofit organizations, working with Torrance Unified School District, and working with city staffs. In addition to that, I have a professional 24 years experience working at American Honda Motor Company. As a senior financial analyst, one of my roles is to look at the budget, how much budget we give to each division, and how much actual they're spending, which means I watch, collect, and analyze the spending, and I question them. Why you went over? And again, it's important for us to understand this is not yearly thing. I question them monthly. I was also an auditor for American Honda for so many years. The important things I want you to understand, right now, there's no more honeymoon period. We need somebody who's ready on day one. We are going through very financial distress time. We want to make sure you elect someone who can take this. We can really, really do something for the city, for the budget, not only for the budget, who has shown the community involvement with TUSD, with other organizations. This is an opportunity for us to give me a chance, and I will dedicate my life, and I will work very hard to make sure that we will be on the right track. I have gotten endorsement from so many people, and I am so overwhelmed, and thank every single one, because we share one common goal, which is the well-being of Torrance. The other day, I was sitting with Mayor Scotto, and that's the discussion I had with him. I had same discussion with Mayor Fury, with Almar Suchi, well-being of Torrance. Please give me a chance, and I will make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sheikh. And Ms. Cotner, your closing statement.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. It gives me a chance to tell more people about my vision for Torrance. Granted, I don't have years of politician. I'm not a politician. I've not been on a commission. What happened was I was watching what was happening on the cable network, and I saw that they were thinking about firing police, letting go of police and cutting things, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on? I finally got involved, and instead of complaining and all of the things I hear from everybody else, I decided to throw in the towel to run. I didn't even know my opponent was running, but I'm glad I did. And since I've been out in the neighborhoods, I've realized that I love Torrance just as much as I did when I was growing up. I grew up here, and I used to feel so safe. I don't feel as safe anymore. And I think the biggest thing that you need to know is that I promise I will do everything I can in every way to keep us safe, with the homeless, with the police, making sure that somehow we are always safe, the city is clean. In other words, the infrastructure, updating the medians, we need that really badly around here. And I think as leaders, we ourselves, I was walking through Disneyland once, and there were some leaders following behind me. They picked up the trash and said, we need to do it. We need to show them, everybody that works for us, that it's important. And I do it when I go on my walks, and I think it's important that we all step up. And the last thing is balanced. I think being a woman councilwoman, we're losing Heidi Ashcraft. I know, so I think my years of experience of running a business through peaks and valleys is beneficial in the aspect of I can handle it. And I have a team of people that are taking over my business so I can be full-time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both for
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your attending tonight. I want to say good luck to the candidates. I also want to thank Ozzy for providing our resources here, and also to filming this. It will be on our YouTube channel and social media, and thank you, our Bio Entertainment, for your services as well. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.